Alright guys, today I'll be giving you a rundown on the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives is the lower chamber of the Congress, with the upper chamber being the Senate. Both of them are part of the legislative branch. Generally, most laws have to be passed in the House of Representatives first before going into the Senate. So let's get started. The U.S. House of Representatives, this picture is the actual House chambers. In the middle of the picture you can see President Barack Obama at the time. Behind him are the Speaker of the House and the Vice President. The Vice President at the time is our current President Joe Biden. The Speaker of the House at the time was John Boehner. The whole House is elected every 2 years. So every person in this building that it's sitting in the lower section is elected every 2 years. Generally they sit by party. On the right side they have the Republicans, on the left side the Democrats. At this time the Republicans are the majority, so some of them were converged in the middle towards the left. Every person in this photo has been elected. To be elected into the U.S. House of Representatives, you need to be at least 25 years old. You need to be a citizen of the U.S. for at least 7 years, and you need to be a resident of the state that you represent. What are the duties of a representative? What do all those people in that chamber in the previous picture that I showed you do? Well, their biggest duty as a congressman or representative is to represent their constituents. As you can tell in the name representative, you're supposed to represent somebody. Another major part of their job is to work with the Senate to create and approve legislations. Like I said earlier, they generally are the first ones to pass a bill, and then they send it to the Senate, where the Senate can either approve or deny it, or send back recommendations of how to fix it. They initiate all the revenue bills. This is the power of the purse that the House of Representatives have. These revenue bills include creating budgets, spending bills, and tax bills. Another major duty of a representative is to decide on impeachment. The House of Representatives have the sole role of impeaching another official. They have done that recently, twice, to former President Trump, and one time against Bill Clinton, and another time against Andrew Johnson. To impeach simply means to accuse someone of committing a crime, not to remove. The Senate will have to determine the guilt of that person based on the impeachment charges against them. So who are the representatives? In the current House, there are 221 Democrats and 213 Republicans and one vacant spot. This means that Democrats are the majority party. This means they control the legislative agenda and determine who will be put on what committees. To pass legislation, you need 218 votes. That is the simple majority. This means that Democrats have enough votes in their party to pass any legislations by themselves without any Republican support. However, they can not lose any more than 3 of their representatives to vote no without having Republican support in order to pass the legislation. Who are the leaders? Well, since the Democrats are the majority party, they get to nominate and elect a Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House is Nancy Pelosi. She's a Democrat. She's from California. She is second in the presidential line of succession. That means that if the president and vice president were both to resign or were killed, she would then become the president. Some of the roles of the Speaker of the House include those things I said earlier about creating the legislative agenda. She also has the responsibility of whipping votes, which whipping means just getting and making sure that you have enough votes to pass a certain legislation. She also dictates what bills even come to the floor. This other person you see is Kevin McCarthy. He is the House Minority Leader. He is the top Republican official in the House of Representatives. He's also from California, and his job is to whip up support or non-support for any sort of bill. If the Republicans were to take control of Congress again, the House of Representatives, he would be their most likely candidate to become Speaker of the House. What we see here is the U.S. congressional map. This map shows all 435 congressional districts and who represents them. Red means Republican, blue means Democrat. If you have ever seen an electoral map for president, the states are represented the same way. As you can see, that's 435 unique districts that represent many different groups of people. And remember what I said earlier about every congressman faces an election every 2 years. So every 2 years, every district on that map is once again voted on. Now that's the end of our lesson for today. Thank you for listening.